to ask you to give us wisdom, to ask you to give us character, and most of all, Lord, give us compassion. Lead, guide, and direct us. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Damn, hey, that thing's on. That thing's on, y'all. Don't say any bad words. Our second meeting and the wall is full. Most of you people are chairman, are you not? Somebody's letting out too many bills. And it's probably Sharon, because she's got a newbie over there on the wall doing something. All right, remember, y'all, short, quick. You're not all gonna get your bills, so you got to come back. Short and quick. And the rule is, chairman go to the front of the line. Mr. McCall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I enjoyed the prayer and the comment afterwards. House Bill 579 is about halfway down on your blue sheet, and all this does is allow farmers to use Polarises and four-wheelers and anything like that on the road if they put a triangle on it. And it's not for kids on a Sunday afternoon riding around looking for a mud hole to get in. It is strictly for agricultural pursuits, agricultural and forestry pursuits. Legally now that you can use three-wheelers, but that was written back before there were ever four-wheelers and Rangers and stuff like that, and we use them all the time now farming. So I'd appreciate you letting us be able to do that without getting stopped.
Questions? It doesn't mean for you to be quick, Herschel.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ramsey.
I have a question. You're running out there.
I can't get some of my people to hush up long enough.
I'll be glad to answer it.
Mr. Chairman, my tentacles go up. We have a few golf carts down in Peachtree City when I see golf cart in a bill. So how do you define agriculture and forestry pursuits?
It is not in a definition in code, but it is also used in the code section that talks about seat belts in pickup trucks, that if you're carrying out agricultural pursuits, in my mind, agricultural pursuits is anything to do with farming or forestry. There is a definition of implements used in husbandry. And if you look on the 40-1-1, that will explain pretty much what agricultural pursuits are.
Okay. We've got 16,000 golf carts. Can you have a conversation offline on the floor today about there's
Be fine with me.
Maybe a safety issue that maybe we can.
But all this is aimed at is being able for a person who is using it, whether he's getting up cows or pulling a sprayer.
Okay.
With one of these vehicles, to be able to put a slow-moving vehicle sign on it, and State Patrol, local law enforcement won't be stopping if he's going from field to field or from home to field or from the chicken house back to a shop or something like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Ain't got anything to do with Peachtree City.
Thank you.
Mr. Powell.
I had another question for my friend, to my friend and neighbor.
Yes, sir.
We're working on a bill for some of the metro areas. Right now, those four-wheel ATVs aren't covered under the rules of the road, and they've got a problem in a lot, especially here in this metro area, about gangs and these four-wheelers that aren't covered. One of the things that we're working on is putting these under the rules of the road so they can be prosecuted, these folks that are ripping around the metro area in gangs. Do you foresee any of that language having a detriment to what you're wanting to do?
If you read in the bill, it says that they have to follow the rules of the road. I have had that question asked to me, and my answer is threefold. Number one, probably 70–80% of those four-wheelers are stolen. Maybe they need to start checking serial numbers. They're running up and down the road, running through red lights, running through stop signs, running through people's yards, running out across Piedmont Park. All of that's a little bit more illegal than a farmer riding up and down the road, pulling a sprayer or hauling feed. Maybe the local law enforcement in this city needs to start taking one of their many helicopters and finding where those four-wheelers are, and then sending people in there to maybe get a little handle on it that way and not affect a guy that's trying to make a living farming by using these type vehicles. I have been argued with that there are community gardens in Atlanta, and maybe these gangs or these kids or whatever may put a triangle on the back of the four-wheeler and say they're carrying out agricultural pursuits coming from a community garden. I ain't real sure these people will even know that this law exists. Maybe they will, I don't know, but it's a local law enforcement deal, in my opinion, more than it is to punish a guy out where we live that's trying to make a living with one of these machines.
Thank you.
Mr. Weldon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the Chairman of Agriculture, I think the point of your bill is to protect those who are engaged in commercial agriculture and commercial forestry pursuits. Is that accurate?
That's exactly right.
Okay. It doesn't specifically say in the bill commercial agricultural, commercial forestry pursuits. Is that something you might consider to add to that bill?
I mean, if it would clear a lot up, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
All I'm after is law enforcement letting a guy go up the road on one of these machines if he's working with it,
Thank you.
not playing on a Sunday afternoon.
Thank you.
No more questions. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry it took so long.
Well, you've been here longer than most on the wall there, so
If you'll go on and move it out, I won't be back and have to put up with these questions again.
I might be looking for the word commercial somewhere before it hits the floor. Mr. Jaspers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman of the committee. You have to blame Chairman McCall for a lot of this. I looked down the line and 3 or 4 of us are from his committee, so he's been quite busy. And I have House Bill 800. It's a pretty simple bill. It's just redefining the veterinary client-patient relationship, and it's allowing a veterinarian to look at one animal or 2 or 5 and be able to treat a herd of cattle as one. That's a common practice in agriculture. It's a very, and it's really for poultry also, or a poultry veterinarian will look at maybe 2 or 3 farms and then be able to treat farms as a group if he decides so. It's all empowered in what the veterinarian does, and I appreciate your good consideration of this bill. All the different agricultural groups have voiced a positive for this, and also the Veterinary Medical Association.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Carter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have House Bill 690 under modified open rule. House Bill 690. What this bill does is it allows post-certified employees with powers of arrest it gives them the ability to buy back up to 5 years of credible service to be added to their state retirement time after working for a period of 10 years with the state or being fully vested. The example I would use would be if you have a service member, let's say, who has worked for a local police department or a county sheriff's office and ends up has many years of retirement available to them and ends up going to work for the GBI or for DNR, then that person has the ability after 10 years of service in the state to buy up to 5 years of the retirement that he or she had from the local government. And the the person would pay the full actuarial. It's of no cost to the state. The fiscal note proved that. It's just an option for the person to retire a little earlier with all those years of law enforcement they have behind them.
Questions? For the group, you got to be an employee for 10 years, and to buy back the service you had, you could not have had a retirement plan at that particular agency. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Lumsden.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring to you House Bill 402. It's item 3 on page 1. House Bill 402 is a bill that deals with work-based learning, workforce development, and workers' compensation. Work-based learning is an apprenticeship program that's been conducted in our public high schools for decades. Its effectiveness has been limited because many businesses are reluctant to permit the 16 and 17-year-old students into the work environment because of workers' comp concerns. House Bill 402 provides an incentive for businesses to partner with our work-based learning program, an incentive that they have indicated would cause more of their members to become business partners. House Bill 402 provides a discount of up to 5% on workers' comp premiums for those businesses that partner with our work-based learning program and provide work placement for our 16 and 17-year-old program participants. The discount is incremental depending on the number of placements. The discount has a cap. The discount is voluntary on the part of the insurer, and certification by the Department of Education is required. That's the purpose and function of the bill, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Tanner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have third under modified structure, House Bill 691. This bill is a bill we've worked on for the past year with the municipal court judges and GMA. They all are in agreement with the legislation. It would set forth the requirement to have a written term within an agreement between the judge and the city, and during that term, if they were going to be removed from office, it would have to be for cause. This came through the Judiciary Committee, and Mr. Chairman, I'd ask for favorable consideration.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tell your grandmama that pie show was good. I bet you get on the list today. Ms. Lott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have number 11 under modified open rule, House Bill 780.
When I hit this bell, that means I get to talk. You're brand new, right?
I am brand new, yes, sir.
And this is your first time here, right?
Yes, sir, it is.
Remember that, committee. Go ahead.
I have House Bill 780. It is number 11 on under modified open rule. This bill is written to clarify Georgia code so that distinction is made between clinical laboratory, which is considered diagnostic, and that of which is a non-diagnostic laboratory, one which is not used for diagnosis, prevention, or treatment of a disease or impairment. The non-diagnostic laboratory will continue to be regulated by federal CLIA, which is the federal regulatory requirements that are followed by the 42 other states in this nation. And thank you for that. I will answer any questions that you may have.
I'm sure you're going to have questions.
I'm sure.
Mr. Weldon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Lott, can you explain to the committee the difference, why we have diagnostic and non-diagnostic laboratories in the state?
An example would be the Baxalta $1 billion facility built, hoping to have 1,500 employees there in Covington, Georgia. They are a non-diagnostic clinical laboratory. They use the human material as source material for the creation of biological medications, drugs, plasma. That's what their facility is doing.
Does that include stem cells?
They do not do that.
Okay. Now, have you worked in these laboratories?
I have not.
Okay. And what did you do?
I am a registered nurse.
Okay. And have you ever done this laboratory work in your education?
I have not.
You haven't? Okay. But you feel like this is good policy for the state of Georgia?
I do.
Okay.
Ms.
And could you just tell us why that is?
Absolutely.
Wait a second. Let me get back in charge. Ms. Cooper, are you going to rescue her? You going to rescue her?
No, I'm going to fuss at my colleague.
And we don't want Sharon fussing at us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, committee.
Mr. Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee, thank you all for letting me present today. HB 115 is the fifth one.
How many times have you been here?
This is my first, sir.
Oh. Y'all don't have to be nice to him. You have to be nice to the lady.
I appreciate that.
8:15.
815, HB 815, the fifth one from the bottom. Shall I proceed, Mr. Chairman?
It's up to you.
Okay. Okay. We have a problem in Georgia. Uninspected
We
quail
do.
are being... Sir?
We do.
That's right. Uninspected quail are being sold on the shelves of stores. If we make state law to add quail to the amenable species list, we will level the playing field for a thriving Georgia company. And I just want to clarify, this is for domestic grown quail for slaughter or processing. This has nothing to do with hunting quail. And I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Earhart.
Serious question. I know it's your first time, but I want to make sure where in the bill does it say it in no way, shape, or form submits the sport of quail hunting and those birds taken in that to any type of government inspection of those particular birds?
We've had, the bill has been vetted by Farm Bureau, Commissioner Williams, Commissioner Black, DNR. Everybody has inspected this bill, and they're fine with the language. If you look on line 16, any avian species which are grown commercially for slaughter.
That does not include pen-raised birds, then?
No, sir.
Okay.
We've had multiple. As you well know, I'm a hunter myself. We have had this well vetted, that we feel good about it. Yes, sir.
We have, in the state of Georgia, those people that grow quail for commercial use, not for hunting, have to have 3 inspectors. You're supposed to be answering these questions, not me.
The plant back in Greensboro cannot run unless they have 3 state inspectors on site at all time.
Your regular poultry houses and things don't have but 1. Amazing. Mr. Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate Chairman Earhart raising that question, because that is one of the primary concerns that everyone's had with this bill, and I want to make sure that everyone knows that we have vetted this. We have gone to DNR and specifically made sure that this does not apply to any shape, form, or fashion hunting. And I believe it's similar to what they've done in the other poultry are similar to like turkeys, because you have wild turkeys that we hunt, but you also have turkeys that we buy at the store, the processed kind. So that's I appreciate Chairman Earhart bringing that up, because that is a very good point. I want to reassure everyone this does not in any way, shape, or form have anything to do with hunting.
Ms. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Representative Rhodes, for bringing this well-vetted bill. Could you please summarize on line 25 the Federal Meat Inspection Act for the committee, please?
That sort of falls in line with the amenable species definition, which states a term used within the context of USDA's meat and poultry inspection program to signify exotic species that may be added to laws and thus be eligible for mandatory federal inspection, which is taxpayer funded.
Is that the entirety of the Federal Meat Inspection Act that you just quoted?
I don't think it's in the entirety, no ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodes.
Are y'all amenable for him to get out of the well?
Thank y'all.
Mr. Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members, and no, this is not my first time in front of this committee. It is this year. Under modified structure, I bring you House Bill 228. This bill directs that in counties where sheriffs are paid a salary, that all fees collected must be turned over to the county treasurer or fiscal officer, and to do so within 30 days of receipt. This bill actually cleans up the 2014 forfeiture bill, language that was inadvertently stricken before the final bill was passed. What this bill does is actually puts into law the practical application that is in effect today. Has the full support of the sheriffs, including all the sheriffs back in my district. Any questions?
Yep. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sir, have you, are there any instances of fees being collected by sheriffs in this state?
Yes, sheriff's offices collect fees routinely throughout the state.
I understand the collection. I'm trying to get a handle around why the necessity. There used to be fees that went to the bank account of the sheriff,
right,
not of the county. And I'm just wanting you to clarify the need for this bill.
The distinction that is made in this bill is that in counties where the sheriff is paid on salary, and that salary is the sheriff's income, it's been determined that there is no need for the sheriffs to collect and personally keep those fees. It's not a part of his or her compensation package. So this bill directs that it's in all those counties where the sheriff is paid on salary, and that is his remuneration compensation from the county, that fees in those counties be directed to the county fiscal officer.
One follow-up, Mr. Chairman. Well, then, what my original question, the answer is yes, there are some instances, because you're indicating that in counties where salaries are paid, then fees can be used.
Cannot be kept by the sheriff. By the sheriff,
okay.
Yes, sir.
Back to my original question, are there any counties where fees are being kept where sheriffs on salary now?
Not that I'm aware of. I understand that this bill actually cleans up language that reflects the actual practical day-to-day operations that is going on within the counties in Georgia.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ask for your favorable consideration.
Ms. Clark.
Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I bring for your consideration House Bill 588 on page 1. It's under modified structure, the second bill. At this time, CVS and Walgreens, the big box stores, use an electronic logging system when they're selling cold and allergy medicine that can be used to make meth when purchased in large quantities. The system uses real-time technology and makes it more difficult to travel from pharmacy to pharmacy to purchase a great quantity of meth. This bill would offer the same electronic logging system to our grocery store pharmacies and to our independent pharmacists. And at this time, they use a paper log, and if they suspect a person is purchasing a great amount, they would send an email to their colleagues rather than having a real-time electronic logging system. So it will be the same as the big box stores. It's the same required information, and the same drug limits will be enforced. And I ask for your favorable consideration.
Mr. Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize. I should have gotten with you before this, but I'm looking over the bill. I know when we did our honorary pharmacist over here carried a bill for the Pharmacy Association that basically helped us with our own industry to stop pill mills. But I don't see anything that protects the patient personal information from not being sold. We had some stiff fines in that PMP bill so that people's personal information couldn't be sold. Shouldn't we have that in this bill as well? Especially now, since we're collecting this personal private information at convenience stores?
It's in the pharmacy code right now, but if you would like it into this bill, it will be put in this bill.
That would be, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Knight.
And I ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you. Not quite yet, I'm sorry.
Mr. Knight.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam, your explanation, is this mandatory or is it permissive?
At this time, it is a mandatory logging system. The independent pharmacist and the grocery store pharmacist use a paper log, and the pharmacist in the big box store has an electronic system.
But again, my question is with this bill, is this now mandatory that the independent pharmacists in the smaller grocery stores or whatever, are they mandated to go on this electronic system?
They are mandated to go on this system, and they do approve of it. It's to their benefit because at this time it takes a long time. They require the same information, and it takes a great deal of time. The electronic system, you would have that information inputted, and if you went back to the store, you wouldn't have to go through that again. So it will help the pharmacist and the consumer.
What's the cost for one of those independent pharmacies to go on the system?
The cost will be free of charge. The makers of the pharmaceuticals will be paying the bill for the system. So it's free of charge to all the pharmacies.
Mr. Williams, no, you cut it off. No more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Mr. Hawkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. I bring to you House Bill 593. It's under modified open rule on your blue sheets in the middle of the page. This bill addresses CE, continuing education units for the low voltage industry. This was something that their membership asked for and their board. Presently, they do not have any CEUs. High voltage contractors do. This bill provides for a 4 CEU requirement annually. It does provide hardship waivers addressed by the board, and it also exempts high voltage contractors who also do low voltage work. So they will not have to have 8 hours per year, but retain the 4. Reasoning behind that was that these companies, there's 1,000 companies that do both high voltage and low voltage out of the 9,000 high voltage companies in the state of Georgia. And they're already doing this. They're sending their crews that do low voltage to CE courses. Also, an importance of this is our surrounding states require the CEUs. So our contractors at the edges of the state of Georgia sometimes run into difficulty being able to bid across state lines.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring before you HB 538. It is the only bill under open rule at the top of the page. This bill is a result of some constituent feedback I received from a mother of a young girl who had a dog attack, and her daughter had been bitten in the face. When she contacted the veterinarian that's treating that particular animal, she was told that she was not allowed to know whether or not that dog was up to date on its shots. This bill would put in place a procedure for the treating physician of the child, or the patient in this case, to be notified or to notify the veterinarian in writing so that they may gain access to the veterinarian record or the shot record, vaccination record, so that they can make an informed decision before treating the patient. And that's what the bill does. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would ask for favorable consideration. Thank you.
Mr. Nimmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Good morning.
fifth one down, HB 421, fifth bill down on your blue sheet. This is a bill from last year dealing with the disability benefits for the newly named Department of Community Supervision. This bill has no fiscal impact. The actuarial report was done. It came back as a neutral move, and this bill just simply seeks to redefine in code Department of Community Supervision that this body voted on last year in the event that there's any injuries or anything that will qualify for disability benefits. Those employees are not overlooked.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Speaker Pro Tem Jones.
I don't care. You just got here. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to ask the committee's favorable consideration of House Bill 801, which would, can you hear me? I'd like to ask the committee's,
Try it again. Yeah.
I'd like to ask the committee's favorable consideration of House Bill 801, which would authorize the Board of Regents to select certain bachelor-level college courses to receive extra weight in the same line as we do for AP classes at the high school level that are STEM related and that are determined to be rigorous and required by or lead to jobs in high demand STEM fields. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to bring for consideration House Bill 649. It's under modified open. This is the lactation consultants bill. Georgia is in the bottom 40 for everything on maternal infant health care. It's pretty abominable how we rank. It is a proven fact that to increase our rankings and to improve the health of our infants, breastfeeding is a key element. Unfortunately, most mothers who start breastfeeding, when they land in the hospital or leave the hospital, quit very quickly thereafter because of complications. It's not as simple as it would seem or as natural as it seemed to breastfeed. And there is a group that have 2 years of instruction and clinical experience, and they are asking to be licensed. One of the reasons we need this is the federal government has now decided that insurance companies will provide and pay for lactation or for people to help women with their lactation problems and needs. And the only requirement the federal government is saying is that they have to be certified. And anybody can, start a company. I could start a company and have 2 hours of instructions and then give a certificate. And so people are looking for, and the public is looking for, assurance that who they hire, who they work with, are qualified. And this is what licensing these lactation specialist consultants would do, and this is what the bill does. It has wide support from hospitals and the OBGYNs and Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies, and various groups across the state.
Thank you. No questions. Mr. Kirby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize for being a little late. Traffic had a little issue coming in this morning, but I bring to you House Bill 697 and ask for your consideration. This bill was protect our citizens from unscrupulous business practices where people have been forced into buying things that they didn't want because they claim they didn't get a cancellation notice, so it would require that they'd actually have a positive assent that I want to purchase something, if it's a telemarketer or something like that. And pretty straightforward and simple, and happy to answer any questions.
When somebody decides that they want to get on one of these programs, don't they give them their credit card number?
No, sir. No, what this is dealing with, a lot of times you'll get that call and they'll harass us, especially our seniors, into getting a 3-month free trial and say, just cancel on the invoice if you don't want to keep it. And then they claim they never got that cancel notice, and they harass our citizens until they finally just pay up. And not only the individuals, but they're also doing this to corporations as well.
No questions, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. Going to set the calendar for Wednesday, February the 3rd. Under the modified open, HB 402. There a second? Any opposed? It's on. Under modified open, HB 421. Any opposed? It's on. Under modified open, HB 815. Do I hear a second? Second. Any opposed? Under modified open, HB 690. Hello. Thank you. Any opposed? It's on. Under modified structure, HB 691. Somebody's got the program back there anyway. Any opposed? Modified structure, HB 801. All those in favor signify by aye. Y'all do pay attention. Well, since it's early in the session and we're not going to do but 125 bills, that's it.